Okay, so ABN is at Aircraft Interiors Expo this week in Hamburg. It is day 2, getting up to lunchtime or just after lunch. And we're now joined on the Conetic stand by André Valera, who is the Vice President of Business Development. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on ABN on the videocast. Conetic, just explain the company to us.
Sure.
That's the group.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting brands beneath that, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Absolutely. And thank you. So Conetic Group focusing on passenger experience, and we have 2 main companies under the group to deliver to that. Content-based one, so Touch, content service provider focusing on providing a digital experience to our airline customers, and Above, which is our cloud tech arm to deliver that amazing experience into the aircraft and also beyond the aircraft as well. So those 2 companies are part of our Conetic Group.
Okay, let's start with Touch. Touch is providing the content. Yeah?
Correct.
So that's working with all the content providers, your Disneys, etc.
Exactly.
What's going on in that world? I mean,
a lot. No, it's going busy as well. So what happens today is that the usual aircraft, when you fly with on an airline. IFE brings, in-flight entertainment brings content that was programmed 60 days ago.
Yeah.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's not relevant. And that's actually an issue with thousands and thousands of aircraft flying around. So what we're bringing and what we're focusing on now is how can we kind of shorten that cycle so that we improve the experience, bring more relevant content.
Yeah.
At the same time, how do we expand the content sources beyond the legacy, even Hollywood content, but actually bring more relevant content. Timely content like news, sports, highlights, all those sorts of contents are new alternatives that we need to bring on board. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're focusing on at the moment. And of course, at the end of the day, which is the game-changing thing, personalization. Yeah. So today we do a kind of mass market approach. So all the movies, all the TV shows for the same passengers. Yeah. And then you get on board, I get on board, and Tony gets on board, then it's the same thing.
We've all done it. We've trawled through and said 90% of these I don't want to watch.
Same. So the idea here is that we are also bringing customization with data recommendation engines behind it, and that intelligence to kind of improve that experience.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with the content providers, what do you need from them to help you with this? Are they open to this idea, this way of doing things?
It's actually a very good question, because usually the relationship is in a licensing relationship. So we get the content and then we publish the content into the aircraft, and kind of the relationship ends there. Yeah. But there's a lot of additional value that these guys can bring to us with additional contextual information about the content. When do we get access to the content? For how long we can use the content? So there are other dimensions that we could take a look at, and additional marketing and promotional materials that exist around the content that usually are not available for IFE, but we should use them. So there's more to it than just licensing the content. And gladly, we see a lot of movement, even in the big guys, the major Hollywood studios, in looking into this and understanding that there is a role for them in this, and then opening up the pipe for other platforms, the OTTs, the streaming companies of this world, bringing their content, and usually it's also locked. It's not available for in-flight licensing, but you see more and more of those partnerships appearing, and we bring that content in as well. Okay,
so the other brand on the stand is Above. Again, explain what Above actually does. Sure. And what's the key trends in that area?
Look at the name Above, right? So cloud, that's the context there. Yeah. The idea is that with Above, we deliver content to the aircraft more efficiently. So it's a fully cloud-based company. We don't even have an office. Right. And the idea there is that we connect those content sources to the aircraft through fully automated workflows. Yeah. So we're cloud native since we were born. We reduced the time to aircraft from those 60, 90 days to hours, and in sometimes minutes when we're talking about news and sports highlights. We're doing that for a major airline in the Middle East. We're delivering hundreds of clips a day from CNN, Euronews, BBC. That takes just minutes through a cloud-based workflow. So that's the kind of the core of what Above is doing. Yeah. And in the future, we want to do more. So aside from sending content faster to the aircraft, we want to unlock that door-to-door experience. So we could send content to an airline application. We could send the content directly to a passenger in a different interface than a closed app environment. So there are a lot of new things that we're doing there as well.
Yeah, raising expectations is an interesting thing, because when you can't deliver, you've raised the expectations, then you've disappointed people. But we're in a hall surrounded by lots of big tech companies. We saw Panasonic yesterday launch a new onboard server effectively, so they can have a lot of content stored and cached.
100%. That's really important.
Yeah. What are you seeing around here today that gives you the confidence that actually the raised expectations are going to be met?
100%. Because at the end of the day, all of us need to work together. This is a supply chain, a media supply chain on our side, case, where we need to send content to a specific location, a specific interface, and those guys are those interfaces. So it's very important for us to collaborate with them, and we are doing our part of the job of kind of shorten our side of things. But they're doing the same, and I'm really excited about those announcements like Panasonic did, Thales did as well before, and we're working very close with them as well, where we're seamlessly integrated and send things directly to the aircraft with them. So the fact that those guys, they're bigger, so they have, I would say, more resources to change, but sometimes they take a little bit more time to change as well. But you see those exciting announcements, and I think I'm really excited as well, because if you're doing our part, they're doing their part together, the future is bright.
There's a lot about connectivity, and these aircraft now are becoming, the new ones especially, are becoming super connected. With all sorts of different ways of connecting through satellite, to all sorts of LEO, GEO, MEO. A lot of acronyms involved, but it's all about making sure that aircraft is fully connected, so that this content can be delivered, and anywhere in the world as well. No latency and so on.
Absolutely, and the customization, because some of the customization comes with you need to be connected. You need to be connected to have data flows coming in and out of the aircraft. If you want to have, for instance, an AI model running on an aircraft, well, it will only consider the local data if it's a closed environment. So the 300 passengers that you have there. But you have these models, they require much more data to improve that customization. So you need to be in a connected environment, regardless of what you're doing on board. If it's consuming content, if it's shopping something, curating, advertising, for instance. So all of that requires huge amounts of data, and the connectivity pipe alone, providing that access, will change the experience as well on board, not only for what we do, but I believe from what everyone is doing.
We're also seeing amazing improvements in hardware, and some of the screens, again, some of the screens Panasonic,
the resolution, which brings opportunities for us as well to bring better content, with high resolution, for a better experience. So that's great.
But also audio.
Interesting, the Dolby.
I'm sure many of us have watched the film on a flight, and the audio has been pretty poor.
It ruins the experience.
You think, I didn't really see that film.
100%.
I need to go back and watch it again. So actually, I guess you go back to the content guys at the beginning, where they spend a lot of money and time putting great content together to be delivered probably in a cinema, really, not on a...
I can tell you that they're excited as well, because they're very protective, and it's natural with respect to their IP, right? It's their gold, right? And the fact that we can now more and more bring their content closer and closer to the cinema experience, the theater experience, with that sound experience, with that high resolution. So these systems are working towards that direction. Our pipeline is totally ready to process the content with those capabilities, HDR, 4K, and all of that. So it's great to see the final interface, as I was saying, that we integrate with, having those capabilities, because content people will really enjoy it, and then at the end, passengers as well.
And that all helps to. How is it becoming more efficient for airlines? I mean, airlines need to save costs wherever they can. Is the technology allowing them to be more efficient in how they stream 100%. That content?
So an example is with the above workflow that we have. The cloud-based nature of it allows for a much more scalable solution. So the cost of bringing content from the content owner to the aircraft with us, when we disrupted this, it was lowering the cost 10 times.
Okay.
But not 10%, not 100%, 10 times, 1,000%. So that alone created a buffer for either savings, additional investment into content, into new technologies. So the cost savings nature of what we do is really important. And the idea is to bring to the airline the capability to decide where to invest next. And I think the technical component of what we bring is a key, unique selling point there.
Before we started, you mentioned what the vision here is the interaction of the traveller with the content starts even before getting on the flight. You take them from for as long as they want, because they're using their own devices. Just paint a vision of what that looks like for the modern traveller. What are they?
100%. Some of the things that we're doing and are really interesting, we're launching on multiple locations with multiple airlines, as an in-lounge experience, for instance. So if imagine a situation where you already kind of went through the stress of immigration, bags, and all of that, and now you're sitting in a lounge waiting to get on board. You could start the experience that you have on board. You could start watching something. You could start curating your playlist, but actually watch your movie, watch the news, watch something that is relevant for you.
Yeah.
And when you get on board, you can continue from where you left off.
Yeah.
So that's what we are building, what we're doing. And that, I think, makes available to some airlines that want to have this end-to-end engagement with the passenger. This enables that, because with content, we bring people into this digital platform, and then we unlock other use cases. So if I'm at the lounge looking at something because it's interesting, there's content I'm interested, I can also pre-order my meal. I can pre-select certain experiences that the airline wants me to engage with.
Yeah.
So we create this digital platform where passengers are captive,
Yeah.
using content to capture
You're
them.
creating more engagement opportunity. Aren't
Absolutely.
You? I mean, you can even start it from home. You say the lounge,
100%.
or a taxi on the way to the
exactly, and that started with the vision of being captive because I'm flying in a silo, right? And I'm captive looking at a screen, and for 10 hours. But the journey starts way before those 10 hours, and then after the flight, it can continue as well. So that's our vision, that passenger end-to-end journey. And we bring solutions to kind of allow the airline to decide what to do in those different steps of the journey.
Yeah. For airlines, is this? I mean, this will always improve, and maybe it takes some time, but things never go backwards. Things always get better.
Mm-hmm.
But for a while, for the people who take this on and take it on at its highest level, this is a competitive issue. They can compete and say, well, come fly with us because we have this much better IFE system, much better content.
It's a loyalty thing. At the end of the day, I wouldn't say that airlines, that passengers will fly just because some of the things that we're talking about here, but this belongs to a bigger strategy of the airline. And some of our customers that rely very much on loyalty programs to run a very profitable business, you need to boost that loyalty. And that loyalty comes with great passenger experience, great service. And of course, more and more that mirrors with a digital experience. So it's not only the comfort of your seat, it's not only how great the food is, but that digital engagement, because we're always connected, we're always looking, for what to do next. And so the digital experience is more and more kind of the foundation of that loyalty. And in a lot of our customers, that requires us as well as content providers to connect content needs with that passenger specific need, instead of, as I was saying before, the broad cabin of 300 passengers or the broad fleet of aircraft that I have. I'm sending the same content, the same experience across everyone. No, I want to go to the passenger. I want to go to that specific individual and to boost the loyalty of that individual towards me. And there's a lot of tools for us to do that in our world. It's to bring the best content, the best experience at the right time for that specific passenger.
Sometimes you're sort of blinded by choice on we've all done it. We've flicked through all the films, gone down.
Spend more time scrolling than watching.
A bit like when you're trying to decide what to watch on Netflix, you end up watching nothing. So it is reducing choice, but at the same time, I think you probably want to make sure that there's something in there that the customer wouldn't necessarily have chosen.
The hidden gems.
Serendipity.
At the end of the day, we personally, I believe that quantity is not necessarily quality. So that endless browsing experience, indeed, it's not a good experience. So it's not about quantity of, I have 1,000 films, it's I have the best films for you. Right? So it's about knowing and learning with what the passenger engages with, in there's different systems, and then curating the best titles, the best trends, the best elements with our team of experts that kind of, just content geeks that know everything about content, and kind of bring that in. But then you need to have the data to then cater to the specific passenger, because it's impossible for us to curate specifically for you, right? So we need that data, that intelligence behind it, and so I agree. We don't need to have necessarily a big amount of titles, a huge library. We need to have the curated and targeted one.
So your head of product development that's your title?
Business development.
Sorry. Okay.
Well, product development is actually under my division as well. But
so what is the future for Conetic? Where do you innovate and continue to innovate in this sector?
I would say, and I will double down on that goal of the entire organization. And actually, the tagline of Conetic is expand your journey. So it's getting out of the single step of the journey and connect the different dots. We all know that when we travel, we go through separate steps with separate providers. We have separate experiences. So what we want to do is integrate this. So in terms of future products, future features, what we want to grow is the mesh of partners that integrate our technologies. So we work with all of them, but in terms of seamless integration, we are not with all of them at that same level.
Right.
Yeah. So that's our focus, kind
Yeah.
of increase that level of integration with our dear partners around us, and the same upstream with the content.
Yeah.
So there is new content appearing everywhere, every day. So we also want to grow that footprint of content partnerships. So I would say on those two, let's say, arrows of this big journey here.
Yeah.
Upstream with the content partners and downstream integrating with our interfaces.
Big tech challenge, really. And integration is always difficult with different systems.
It takes time. It takes a lot of listening, collaborating. It takes also, and it's important, by the way, to have the support of the airlines, and at the end of the day, they pay a lot of the bills of everyone here. So their support, and so listening to them is really important. But yeah, it's around breaking the usual interfaces between everyone here in the industry. There are a lot of interfaces that we kind of need to maybe simplify, standardize, eliminate, so that this happens.
Yeah, collaboration is always important, especially in airlines. I mean, just look at around today. There's so many players. Final word. It's what we sort of midway through second day.
Yep.
Been really relatively busy, but what's your feeling from the show?
No, for us, very busy. I can tell you that. So I personally attend AIX since 2015, I guess. 2015, 16. Yeah, so 10 years, and this is the best year for us ever. So in terms of, I'm not sure about floor attendance, movement, but in terms of us here at the booth, a lot of interest, a lot of meetings. We see people interested in the same trends, same topics. So I think the ones you brought here to us as well. Yeah. So very excited. We'll definitely come back next year. Yeah. So
cool.
Great show for us.
On that positive note, we'll end. Thanks for talking to ABN.
No,
and we'll see you again. Probably see you next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.